guys, my name is Attorney Walter Wolf, not the third, and I wanted to bring up something that I thought was an interesting standpoint that was brought to me from a person who basically was finding it more and more difficult as an SSI recipient to essentially practice his culture. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of what his culture is, etc. But the bottom line is, he brought up an interesting point that I think another really incredibly important reason why $200 extra per month would be a good idea for people to receive who go on to Social Security disability benefits or retirement benefits or SSI benefits or DAC, but whatever. Something, the benefits that you receive through the SSA. Is it more difficult to practice your culture if you are in a state of extreme poverty? Of course, everybody answers yes. There's not a single person out there, unless they're a complete idiot, who would answer no. There are complete idiots out there. I see you looking at it. Okay. So the point is this. If you don't have the funds to be able to go ahead and drive to a natural place to go ahead and do that thing that is part of your culture, and I mean, remember, anything could be in culture. Playing tennis could be in culture. Putting on a particular, ancient style of dress and partaking in a dance is culture. So the bottom line here is that there's all these different options that equate to how you could practice culture, and if you don't have the funds to practice it, is it one of those gigs where the United States, by not paying people as much on retirement or disability benefits or whatever, is trying to reduce the likelihood of people to interact with their culture? I think it does. All right, so I'm going to tell you a little thing. The person who brought this up with me was an African American who wanted to tie back his heritage to basically the portion of Africa where his people, because remember, way back then, it wasn't all, it was like tribes, it wasn't all like, well, it was this country that he came from. It wasn't like that. So he wanted to go back to practicing his culture, and he wanted to find roots in his culture. But he found that because he was so poor, he really couldn't, other than to maybe Google things and learn about it, enjoy his culture. He couldn't practice it in the sense beyond just learning about it. So he brought this up and he said to me, he's like, look, having that little bit extra more money gives people the opportunity to find who they are and what they came from. I started to think about that. At first, when I first thought that, I was like, yeah. But then I realized that's because I don't really attribute myself to whatever culture I come from other than the study of it. Like, I don't go to, and keep in mind I have a Jewish mom and a Christian dad, but I don't go to synagogue all the time. I don't go to church all the time. I'm always working. And what I realized from that was that, that's the religious aspect. There's many other aspects of my culture, which is, from my heritage of, my family flies, knows how to fly planes. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. Or, my family has a heritage with certain types of alcohol or certain types of this or that or whatever. It's just that I kind of realized that if I had, like, if you took away my student loans, right, it would allow me to venture into more of those things that made the history of me into the rendered human being that you see before you today. And what's kind of interesting about that is that we're all in America becoming more of this cultural, well, there's no culture. Remember the idea of like, okay, so everybody wanted everybody to assimilate into American values and traditions and stuff like that. And then we were like, well, maybe we want everybody to be a little bit, have their own thing going on. So it'll be like a salad. Like the white people will be like the romaine lettuce, and then you'd have a crouton over there, and you'd have a tomato over there, and you'd have a piece of bacon over there, which is actually what I fall into. So the point is this. If we don't have enough money as Americans, and Americans keep becoming poorer, and we keep basically, reducing the amount of funds that American traditionally has, because let's call it like it is, people are struggling more and more today to be able to make money, and then the money's not worth nearly as much as it used to be. Although we have great technology, that's not really making up for the inability to buy food like we used to. People, just so you know, used to be able to buy sugar in a barrel. A literal barrel. A barrel. And now it's like, oh, well, I've got the choices at Walmart of like something. It used to be like this big. Now it's like this big, or this big. Those are your two options. So the foods, they keep getting smaller. And that's another thing too. Like, we pay farmers to not make things that we could easily just buy more of and use them to feed, homeless, or just do more with. It's like we're creating this self-defeating system. And I understand that it's all about price manipulation, but there's a better way to do it, guys. And that's called make more product, use more product. All right, going back to the idea, but what his theme was that he didn't have the ability to buy the traditional African-American, well, you can't call it African-American, the traditional African clothing that he wanted to buy into. He didn't have the funds to go ahead and travel there to experience his culture or to even save up to do it. So he had no way of really connecting other than Google searches to figure out what it was. He reached out to some people that were like, yeah, come experience it, but obviously he couldn't. So I started to think about that, and then I realized that the government, whether it's purposeful or not, I have to put that in there, is reducing the likelihood of a person to experience where they came from, which is a form of manipulation to make you fit into whatever system they want you to be in the future. Because if you remove the culture of the old, all you have to do is be able to fit into the culture of the new. And the culture of the new is obviously being defined usually not by the people nowadays, it's usually by the politicians. Trump's a demigod. Biden's going to save the culture. No, save the soul of America. What a bunch of crap. The soul of America is you. You guys, you people, the Americans. You are the soul of the nation. You don't need saving. Your soul's just fine. Think about it. Do you really want the politicians in control of your soul? They were in control of my soul? They could control my culture? Yeah. That's the whole point of what he was getting at. He's getting at he can't experience his culture from back in the day. And it's almost like my brain was, pre-coded to just not feel bad for him. Because, I don't get to experience my culture. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'm always working. I'm always working to pay for our student loans. It's just another form of manipulation. It's another form of financial slavery. So what I've started to realize is that disability benefits and retirement benefits, they're so small in amount. Now, of course, the government would go, here's another way they could manipulate. Well, then we'll just kick a bunch of people off and only a couple people will be on. We'll just pay them a heck of a lot more. And then we would, of course, retort, well, why don't you stop paying other countries so damn much and giving all this money away to people who basically have done nothing to pay into the system? Right? We get into those of well, wait a minute. Not to mention, this is the first year that the, Social Security Administration is not going to make enough to actually cover its expenses. Interesting. There aren't enough people paying into it. So... And there's a way that you can easily prove this. There's a way that you can easily prove that culture has really changed in America, and that's that you have generations of people who are on disability benefits. Back in the day, that would never happen. If you went back 100 years, there was no SSI, SSDI program. That would never happen. You wouldn't have generations of people on a program because the culture wasn't there. You'd have to find some other way to live, some other way to do it. And then he hit me with the next heavy hitter thing, which I thought was very interesting. When you go on to Social Security benefits, it is a form of human creation control, which we're going to go into in another video. But we'll examine that a little bit later, and then we'll kind of start to think about it and pull through those things. Either way, guys, if you want to catch up with me every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I go live on YouTube. You can call this phone right here. It's the phone number below. And I'll pick up the phone and basically answer any questions that I can related to stuff that you want to ask me about. If you want to catch up with me about law firm stuff, that's fine. Just shoot me an email, give me a call at the law firm. If you want the most up-to-date information, shoot me an email, give me a call. And other than that, we'll catch up in the not-too-distant future. Have a wonderful night. We'll go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.